They would just fill in some ID, link to a debit card, and donate.
And Twitter says at least a dozen presidential candidates are going to begin using the fundraising technique right away. Steve Kathan, CBS News.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world. You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Expect lots of sunshine and great-looking weather out there through the afternoon. A little warmer, highs of around 80. Tonight, clear, cool again, lows mid-50s. For the midweek, not much change. Still looking good, but lots of sunshine. Dry for a while with warm afternoons and highs into the lower 80s. When it comes to your salary, you may know what you want, but not what you can get. Learn the ranges for accounting and finance by visiting accounttemps.com/salary center. That's AccountTemps, a Robert Half company. And I'm WDEF News 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Core.
On AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Good afternoon, Chattanooga. This is the Digital Drive, usually with Russell. I'm Keon Rose filling in for the currently ill Russell. He should be over his illness tomorrow. That's what we're hoping because we miss him. I am looking forward to this hour of talk with you here. This is not my wheelhouse. My usual wheelhouse involves sports, you know, the footballs, the basketballs, the baseballs, hockey pucks, and the like. That's where I belong, but I am going to try and do my best to fill in here. Please forgive me for any wrongdoings, and I apologize to my friends and family in advance. This is AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio, and you can find us all over the place. We're all over the internet, Twitter, Facebook. Search Hot News Talk Radio in the respective search bars. We are usually the first thing that comes up, and you can find our Twitter handle. It is at Hot News Radio. If you tweeted us, we'd love to interact with you. We've got news streaming basically all day long. Our slogan is, you report, the world decides. If you have a story, if you found something that's interesting, if you think that we've missed something, tweet it to us. Send us a message on Facebook, and we'll talk about it. And we'll talk to you on those sites. If you go to hotnewstalkradio.com, you can stream us live. You can find some deals. Even just go over there and take a look. You won't be disappointed, I promise. Also, if you want to listen to us on your mobile device, untethered, free from your radio and car, you simply find the TuneIn Radio app on the Apple Store or the Google Play Store if you have a mobile device, and you can have Hot News Talk Radio wherever you go. So without further ado, let's get into the show here, because I have a lot of things to talk about. I'm really excited about this idea of distance. I've been obsessed with the idea for the last few days, and actually I was trying to figure out how to talk about it on my own show, but I haven't had a story that really correlates with that. And I found, actually, while preparing for this show, that it's very easy to talk about it with technology. This idea of distance and putting distance between ourselves and our actual lives. And part of that is escapism, which I think is very easily attributed and very easily blamed on technology. You know, people are escapists. They're trying to find ways to hide from their lives. They're ducking behind rocks and hiding behind their phones. And there's always a computer between you and somebody else. Look, technology did not invent escapism. There are these things called books. You could escape into one of those just as easily as you can escape into the internet. There are plays, Shakespeare. People went to go see Shakespeare plays as a way of escaping or putting distance between themselves and their actual lives. So I'm not here to say technology is the reason why we have escapism, but technology has made it easier to escape. And the ways in which you can escape, there's more. It's not just stories. But I do remember being a kid, and I didn't have access to technology the way I think a lot of kids these days do. I escaped a lot. There's a lot of books. There's a lot of books. So technology did not invent escapism. It didn't invent this concept of distance. You can't just blame it on that. But it has opened up the number of avenues with which you can do that. For example, virtual reality, which is something that in my mind comes straight out of science fiction. Like, I could not actually wrap my mind around it. I was trying to conceptualize it, and I've seen some things from the virtual reality field, which is, by the way, a booming field. It's starting to become very lucrative, very profitable, and it almost is the next big thing. A lot of investors are trying to put their money there to get ahead of the curve, because nobody wants to be last to social media. Nobody wants to be last to Twitter, Facebook. You want to be an early investor. So they're trying to be early investors in this technology that they believe is going to be the next big thing, that is virtual reality. And we saw a little bit of it early on when a company called Oculus made the Oculus Rift, and it's basically a virtual reality headset. You put the headset on, and how it works is it takes what you expect to see in your real life. You know, as you turn your head left, you see whatever's to your left. You turn your head right, you see whatever's to your right. You move forward, you move backward, whatever it is that you would expect. When you put on this headset that basically is a screen directly in front of your eyes, it corresponds with what you would expect. As you turn your head right, the scenery changes. And another thing that it does to add this sense of realism, to add this sense of actual life, is it takes advantage of your peripheral vision, which, just a side fact, your peripheral vision, you actually see more out of your peripheries. You just don't interpret it as well. So you take advantage of this peripheral vision. The thing about 3D movies, for instance, when you go to the movies and you see these 3D films, see Pacific Rim in 3D, see Avatar, or whatever the case may be, you feel immersed for a moment, and then you look to your right and you see that the screen has ended. What virtual reality does is it basically extends the screen to never ending. The screen doesn't end. As you turn your head, algorithms and processes extend the screen so that you continue to always feel immersed. That's one thing that I do in a movie. If a movie feels like it's getting too intense for me, I just look off the screen. Well, you can't do that here, and so you will always feel immersed. And Oculus was bought by Facebook earlier last year, I believe, and people had wondered at that time, what is it that Facebook is planning to do with this technology? And Oculus, by the way, is not the only virtual reality technology out there. Canon has recently released a virtual reality device. A lot of them are ones that you strap on your head, but Canon's is actually one that you hold in your hand. PlayStation has one, PlayStation Virtual Reality, which used to be called Project Morpheus. A little too creepy, a little too Matrix-y in the name, so it went under a rebrand. It's just PlayStation VR now. HTC is working on one called the HTC Vive. AltSpace has made one where they have actually a virtual reality chat room, which to me, I already have trouble wrapping my mind around the simple concept of virtual reality. To have a virtual reality chat room, you basically make your little avatar like you would if you were playing an MMO or you were playing any online game, or if you have a Wii. I guess a good example of that is if you make a Mii, it's a little avatar that represents you. And you go into this chat room where you look around at all these other people and their other avatars, and you can interact with them. And then there's a giant virtual screen. It's literally a screen inside a screen where you can look at videos and movies and pictures and make jokes. It's a chat room where you are technically there. You're not just typing. You're represented in this chat room almost physically. So when I tell you this is the stuff of science fiction, I'm not even kidding. It's borderlining on that shared dream space thing that you hear about almost. It reminds me, especially when I see people wearing the headsets. When I went to the LA County Fair with my girlfriend, and we actually saw someone using the Oculus Rift. And like one of the things that I noticed was you just have this headset on, you have headphones on, and you are completely encased in this virtual world. You cannot see what is happening outside of your headset at all, like nothing. And it made me a little uncomfortable because I'm like, what if I decided to use this and my girlfriend came home and saw me and she couldn't say hi to me. She couldn't, pat me on the shoulder or anything because I'm just completely encased in this world that's not there. And that's when this idea of distance and escapism, which is not wrong inherently, not in and of itself, that's when it begins to get a little creepy, just a little dangerous. I'm not saying it's particularly harmful, but, for the people in life that want to run away from things, that's making it very easy. It makes it very, very simple to do that. And what Facebook is doing, since they bought Oculus over a year ago, what they want to do is take your life experiences and turn them into a virtual video, virtual pictures that you can look at in 360 degrees. That if you take, because of course we're already obsessed with selfies and everything of that nature. Selfie sticks proliferate and we can't seem to stop it. What Facebook wants to do is take this idea of sharing your life with people, not just through pictures, but making it so that they are almost actually there. By using multiple cameras, you can shoot video in 360 degrees, and then users would be able to tilt their phones to change perspective. It seems like a cool idea, if not slightly creepy. Like, how much more are you trying to let people into your lives? If first, like, baby pictures on Facebook are annoying enough. Now you want me to be there? No, I don't want this for my life. I actually don't. I actively do not want this. But the thing is, the concept of using your phone as a virtual reality device already exists. And it's free. There are apps that exist already. One of them is called VR2 Go. That is the letter V, the letter R, the number 2, and Go, that you can download in the app stores, both the Google Play and the Apple Store. And what you can do with those is it actually gives you a thing. You have to get like this cardboard thing to prop your phone up on your face. It does look strange, I will admit that. But what you can actually do is download virtual worlds, quote unquote, onto your phone and then put the phone up to your face. And as you turn your face left or right, just like with any virtual reality headset, you will see the images moving left and right as though you could see in 360 degrees. When you think of this, don't think of it as 3D video. Think of it as video in stereo, or better yet, video in surround sound. If you think of it in that way, it's basically having video all around you as opposed to video popping out at your face. And that's much more immersive than the traditional 3D. And speaking of 3D, what about virtual reality makes us believe that this is going to be the next big thing? I worry about it only in as much as we were forced with 3D. I remember James Cameron did all of that work on Avatar. It was a beautiful looking movie. I mean, gorgeous movie. And one big thing about that movie was that after people saw that, they were like, let's have more 3D. We want more 3D. And so we started seeing more 3D movies. And that's when we realized that, a lot of companies started changing their movie that they filmed. They would change it to 3D in post-production. And that's when we realized that those post-production 3D movies look like garbage, just hot garbage. And that didn't work. Got burned by a few of those 3D movies where you're just like, hey, this is disgusting. The first Captain America came out and they did that. They actually put it in 3D. It was a post-production 3D movie, and it looked just dreadful. It was one of the worst things anybody's ever seen. And so people backed off of the 3D a little bit, and people were like, okay, well, maybe we don't just want this. Like, maybe it's not everything. Maybe Avatar was just like a once-in-a-lifetime thing. You just enjoy it for what it is, tell your kids about it later, and move on. Well, it didn't stop there. Companies like Samsung and Sony wanted to bring 3D into your house, because that's obviously the next way it goes. If it works on the big screen, why would I want to have a movie in 2D that I saw in 3D and enjoyed it better in 3D? For instance, the movie Pacific Rim, which I really enjoy. It's giant robots fighting giant sea monsters. There's nothing that can go wrong there. But to me, that movie, part of the joy of watching it was in 3D. It almost only works in 3D. To watch it in 2D would still be cool. Like, it's a very well-made film. It would still be cool. But the issue is that a lot of the cool stuff that happened was flying at your face. There's a giant 2-story monster falling over. Guess what? That's exciting when he's falling at you. It just is. So I can see how you would want to have a 3D setup in your house, but they were so unreasonably expensive, and I don't think that they got enough early adopters from consumers to really build on the success of 3D movies in the theaters. And not enough people bought it, and this idea was kind of pushed down our throats. You want 3D. You want 3D glasses in your house. You want this. And I remember seeing all the commercials. I don't know a single person that bought a 3D television. Not a single one. So that didn't pay out. And what I'm wondering now, as I see all of this virtual reality stuff start to gain more momentum and gain more hype, is virtual reality the next wave? Is that actually where we're headed next? Or, and I think this is more likely, is virtual reality what we're being told that we want next? Like the 3D stuff. Because it's cool. It really is. If you go into the Google Play Store, they actually have a company called Amex made the Taylor Swift blank space experience. It's Taylor Swift unstaged. She basically is walking around her house, and you can see Taylor Swift's her house as though you were actually in it, which is really cool, because I don't really care enough about Taylor Swift in her home to just look at pictures of it and do what? Feel envious? I don't have any money, so I mean, just feel bad about myself, just lower my own self-worth just for just looking at that. Like, I don't have anything to do with that. But it's one thing to look at the pictures as though you are just watching pictures, and it's another thing to look at her house as though you were a guest. That's different. It's wholly different, and it makes you feel immersed. The TV show from Fox called Sleepy Hollow. It's a show about Sleepy Hollow. Ichabod Crane, and he's come back from the whatever century that story takes place in, and he helps the police solve crimes. Look, it's more inane cable television, but they actually, in order to, I guess, build up a following for the show, they released a virtual reality, and they actually won the first ever virtual reality Emmy for the Sleepy Hollow virtual reality experience, because it was very immersive and people enjoyed it. And it was creepy, but it wasn't creepy because, oh, this thing is just strange and it's throwing strange things at me. But it was creepy because you felt like you were actually there in this place that is weirding you out. Like how you actually feel when you go camping in the woods and it's way too foggy. And it won an Emmy for that. And I wonder if, again, this is just the hype machine building this up and telling us this is where we are headed to next, or if we actually want this. Because the only thing that I've been thinking as I've seen this stuff is, wow, that's cool. I haven't thought even in the slightest about how much I desire to have this in my life. I haven't seen anyone with the virtual reality headset either going crazy about wanting this. And I think that the part of our job as consumers is that we do choose what is next and what isn't, and we vote with our wallets. That's just part of how the marketplace works. But when I see this, I still see this idea that what it is that we're being told that we want is something to detach us further from reality, to make us escape more into ourselves. That when you feel really bad about yourself, it's really easy to just open up Instagram and just keep sliding down and just looking at things that are happening. And you can just turn your brain off a little bit. My thing isn't Instagram. My thing is Reddit. Like I will read a ton of Reddit, and it's never ending, just a news stream of stuff that people are saying. And I don't think that it's worthless. I've learned a lot, but I have to be careful. Is this my intention to actually learn and be educated, or am I trying to distance myself from reality? I have to be very, very careful with that. So do you. We all do. And I wonder how beneficial this virtual reality actually is in terms of bringing this into our everyday lives with our kids. This is AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. You're listening to The Digital Drive. Keon Rose filling in for Russell. We'll be back with more Tech Talk next.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Sky Aerial Services uses advanced drone technology to give you a better perspective and depth of your property and project. We offer aerial photography and video for your business, farm, home, or advertising campaigns, as well as editing services to complete the experience. Call us at 423-521-0284 and see how we can help you tell your story about your business, property, or project. We work with real estate professionals, both commercial and residential, developers, engineer inspectors, surveyors, ad agencies, auto and boat dealers, mapping services, insurance inspectors, corporate marketing, charity events, weddings, and photographers. Our consultation is free. Call 423-521-0284. That's 423-521-0284, or visit our website, skyaerialservices.com. Sky Aerial Services. The sky is our limit.
Here you are, working to keep your customers happy and to manage your cash flow. IRS problems are the last thing you need, but here they are, flapping about you like vultures. Get help from Eric Pelton and his team of accountants at E.J. Pelton Company. Audits, letters, proposed return changes, 1099s, penalty threats. Pelton Tax Resolution Services brings peace of mind and helps you keep more of what you've earned. EJPelton.com. Offices on Brainerd Road and in Soddy Daisy, just north of the Bilo. That's E.J. Pelton. Call 622-3156. Think ahead, 622-3156.
We've got a table here at Delia's in Soddy Daisy, ready to delight in a plate of authentic Mexican food. Delia's spreads a rich selection, loaded nachos, crazy chicken, homemade tamales, maybe the enchiladas with beef, chicken, pork, quesadillas. Every dish beautifully pictured on the menu to help us decide. Join us for lunch or dinner. We're at Delia's in Soddy Daisy on Dayton Pike near the Thrasher Light. Here's dinner. Delia's uses the freshest ingredients, cooked to perfection. Nachos, homemade. Delia's open every day except the Lord's Day. For lunch and dinner, treat yourself to Delia's genuine Mexican food. In Soddy, call 521-7145. That's 521-7145.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Costa, host of the Costa Report every Sunday at 9 a.m. My guest this week is former Commander-in-Chief of the U.S. Central Command, General Anthony Zinni, who'll be here to explain what it will take to stop the ISIS momentum. Don't miss General Anthony Zinni this Sunday at 9 a.m. in the Costa Report, right here on AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio.
This is America Now with Meghan McCain.
Al Gore running is crazy. You're flying around in your private jet all over the world, and you want average Americans to care about the environment. Don't you think you should be doing your part as well?
Meghan McCain, weekdays at 7 p.m.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Hi, I'm David Tulis, inviting you to make the move with me 9 to 11 a.m. weekdays here at AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. The David Tulis Show, featuring Nooganomics.com for Chattanooga and beyond. 9 to 11 a.m. weekdays.
Hot News Talk 1240.
U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Fox News Radio. I'm William Wu. The Deadly Valley Fire in
say you're late
California
on
is
your
now
credit card
scorched
bill.
some
Can you please call us to schedule
67,000
payment?
acres.
The equivalent in size to twice
if you're
the size
getting
of the
collection
city of San
calls from your
Francisco.
credit card
The fire
companies
turned
and
deadly
you
when
want
a
to put a
72-year-old
stop to
woman
it,
became
gather your
trapped in her
bills
home
now
Saturday
and call
night.
the
The
debt
retired
helpline.
teacher was disabled and couldn't get out. Officials say several other residents are unaccounted for, and 4 injured firefighters
We
continue
can
to
help you
recover from
stop the late and
second-degree
overlimit
burns.
fees on most of your credit cards and reduce your high interest rates in some cases up to 60%.
Which is now in its 5th day.
Mr. Jackson,
They
this
will
is our
stay on
last
picket
warning
lines
call.
till
The
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
Hot News Talk 1240.
AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. This is the Digital Drive, usually with Russell. I'm Keon Rose filling in for Russell today. He is sick, hopefully, for the last day. The last day as he continues to get over this illness that has been bothering him and bugging him. I hope he gets well soon. And Russell does an amazing job with this show. I listen to it all the time. And he also does an amazing job as our news director. He does Hot News Now from 5 to 6. And I know that many of us miss having that because Chattanooga can get really crazy in the late afternoon times. And it's just good to know where the traffic is and what's going on around town. And that is something that I will not be filling in for. I don't know how many people realize how much live news, like how hard that is to actually do. Just stand here and just read news and like break it down for an hour and stay on top of everything. That's a tough gig. Don't want it. Not gonna lie. I'm pretty sure that if I practiced and did everything, I could do it, but I have zero desire. None whatsoever. That's a hard job. This is AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. You can find us all over the internet on Facebook and Twitter. If you search Hot News Talk Radio, our Twitter handle is @HotNewsRadio. You can find us on our own website, hotnewstalkradio.com. Convenient to type in, all lowercase, all one word, hotnewstalkradio.com. You can stream us there if you're at work and you're having a hard time listening to your radio, or you can use the TuneIn Radio app. Completely free in the Apple Store or the Google Play Store. For those of you with Android devices, search Hot News Talk Radio, give us a follow and press play, and you will have Hot News Talk Radio wherever you go. So we've been talking about distance today in terms of technology and what it is that does to us and what that means to us, the unintended consequences of putting distance between ourselves and our actual lives. Cannot stress enough how little technology has created this. Technology has not created distance and escapism. It is a tool like all the other ones, that if you were a soldier at war and you read letters from home, that is a form of distance and escapism. And there's nothing wrong with that, if not solely because war is pretty awful. And being away from your family, you do want to escape. And it is completely healthy in that context to want to escape. The problem with it becomes when you have responsibilities that you need to be on top of, you need to be inside the moment in these responsibilities, whether that's doing your job, whether that's raising your kids, whether that's being a good child to your parents and being a good student and all of those things. That's when it becomes a little dangerous to put distance between you and real life. And technology never created this. When I was a kid, I didn't have a smartphone. I didn't have any kind of phone. I used the house phone like everybody else. You know what? That was rough times. You'd be talking to your friends on the phone. Your dad would want to talk on the phone, and off you go. He just give you the boot. Just hang up. Just pick up the line. Who are you talking to? Tell him you'll call him back. And then you're off the phone. That's literally that's something that if you are 16, 17, 18 years old now, you don't even know what that means. That will never happen to you, you lucky duck. Or when I was a kid too, I called sports stations a lot. Like I called sports talk radio to talk sports for 5 years of my life, from 8th grade to my senior year of high school. I called sports talk radio, and you'd be waiting on hold for your turn, and you'd just be praying that your parents wouldn't need to use the phone, or that your aunt wouldn't call. Because if she called, guess what? You're off the phone. You're off the phone. And then if you're lucky, they'll finish in time and you could call back and they'd give you your spot in the queue. How about that? I didn't grow up with a phone. I escaped with books. So it's possible to escape and severely escape without technology. I mean, I read the entire Redwall series in a depressingly short amount of time. Let's just say that. It's possible to escape without the use of technology. It's happened before we were this technologically advanced, but I will say that the internet makes it easier, and that there are so many different avenues to escape to, and that there are so many different ways in which you can feel good about yourself in escaping. You read a book, you really are the subject. You're subjected to whatever it is that author wants to say in terms of your escape. If you go on the internet, you can escape to your friends. You can escape to various different forms of media, TV, movies, music that you didn't have before. The internet has only opened up these different avenues that previously existed. Before, you wanted to escape with friends, you actually had to go to those friends and find them. Now, they're online like you are. And some of them aren't really your friends, but that's a different issue entirely. Those are the people that are your friends because they can talk to you online. Like you see them in person and they say like 6 words to you. That's its own issue entirely. But I think another aspect of this distance with technology that I'd like to talk about is technology deciding things for us. Technology is very, very nice. It does things for us that we are not capable of doing for ourselves. And I mean, even the simplest of technologies, like the lever, the idea of a pulley. Even the most basic of technologies has allowed us to do things that we cannot do on our own by ourselves. I mean, that's the point, really. But what ends up happening is I think we take it too far. We let it go too far, and we allow technology to do things for us that actually we could very easily do for ourselves. We get into that mode of excess. For instance, we allow technology to decide our tastes. And it's not new. We've been doing it for years. If you've ever used Pandora, the internet radio station that I used to love and then I hated and now kind of like again, it's basically a giant internet radio station that you choose thumbs up to the songs that you like. You choose thumbs down to the songs that you don't like. You press skip to the songs that are annoying you at the moment. And then Pandora uses its algorithms to build a series of songs, a radio station that is like the thing that you like. It's built around your tastes, and it decides what song should play on which station. So if you are a huge fan of Daft Punk, which I am, you can play Doing It Right by Daft Punk, and Pandora will try and find other songs using similar rhythms, using similar tones, using similar beats, similar lyrics, and then you decide over time whether or not this is a song or the series of songs that Pandora gives to you is something you're interested in. And as new songs come out, Pandora will try and work it into your station. And over time, you have a working list of things that you like. Netflix does this as well. So does Audible. Audible is a book service. So you pay $15 a month. You get a free book every month, as well as discount prices on other audiobooks. And it'll, as you buy books, as you add books to your wish list, it suggests books to you that maybe you might like. Sends them directly to your email inbox, even. Netflix does this also. As you continue to watch movies, as you continue to watch shows, and Netflix continues to find that you seem to have a proclivity towards science fiction and cop dramas, those are the shows that are going to start to appear in your recommended list eventually. And it's deciding for you what you will like, which seems all fine and dandy. Google does it as well. If you've used Google now, I use the Google app to find, if I hear a song in public and I don't know what it is, I'll use the Google search widget, and it'll record a little bit of the song and then search the internet for that song and tell me. Well, those song searches, as well as songs that I have on my phone, Google will use those as reference points to suggest to me music. So when a band releases a new album, Google goes, oh, he's listened to punk rock, and he's listened to a little bit of 90s rap, and he's listened to a little bit of R&B. You know what? This album would be right up his alley, and it recommends it to you. It'll just say, hey, this album came out. Would you like to go to the Google Play Store and give it a listen? And I find that to be slightly creepy because freakishly, Google is almost always right. Like Google rarely, I should say, has ever recommended to me an album that I dislike. Google has rarely recommended to me something that I don't like, where I listen to it and go, what were you thinking? Probably Google has recommended to me more albums that I like than my friends have, which is absurd, really. Because you want that human element. You say that art is subjective, that human beings could give you this better than the machine could, but actually that's not true. The machine has access to all of the things that you like. It's not trying to tell you who you are. It's just saying, these are things that you like. Here are more things that match those things that you like. There's a company called Sofa that they search for movies that you like, that you haven't seen yet. That's an important part of their service that they offer. You add movies to the search to your list. You can search through other people's lists, or you can search for specific movies. But as you add movies to the list, Sofa will then turn and search for movies that match your tastes. So the more movies that get added to your list, the more accurately Sofa is able to predict what movie you might like next, including movies that have not yet been released. So a movie is starting to come out in theaters, and you don't go to the movie theaters because it's expensive and nobody has $10 to drop on Ant-Man. So what you do is you go to Sofa, you put in all these things. So you do like superhero movies. So maybe you do want to see Ant-Man, but you don't want to see Ant-Man yet. Sofa will just search and go, okay, well, you've liked superhero movies in the past. You'll probably like Ant-Man. And they'll add it to your list along with the DVD release date. So when Ant-Man comes to Netflix or a certain red kiosk near you, you can go out and pick it up and voila, you have it. And it was entirely decided by a computer. An algorithm just told you what you like. And that, to me, is a little dangerous. You start to walk again into that danger territory where now it's doing something for you that you could do yourself. You could decide what you like. Like you could in theory look at your life and go, I've seen every Marvel movie to date. I will probably enjoy Ant-Man. Like you did not need a computer to do that for you. But now it has. So that's literally something that you no longer think about. A responsibility deleted from your life. And it is a responsibility. Choosing your own tastes is a responsibility because of course it is. Another thing that technology does is it does stuff for us. And I mean, not just in terms of deciding our taste, but literally doing things for us that we no longer want to do. My example here is the self-driving car that Google's been working on. Google actually hired an ex-Hyundai employee to help design their car. Google has been working with Toyota and the Prius, and they've been working with Lexus, and they've been adding sensors to those cars. And in terms of, checking your blind spot for you and braking for you when situations arise that you can't react to in time because your human brain is not capable of assessing the situation faster than a computer is. And so the car brakes for you. The car hits you with a little sound when you start to move over into a lane, but you haven't turned your head all the way. So you didn't see that there was a little old lady driving her white Buick in your blind spot. And all these things are fine, but the information taken from that, Google has then thrown into the creation of an autonomous car, a car that drives itself. And this ex-Hyundai employee has basically been telling Google, these are all the things that you have to worry about in cars. This is what you worry about when you drive. And Google has been trying to put cameras on the car in such a way that it's not intrusive. It doesn't look stupid, but also in a way in which having that car have enough points of vision where the car is actually deciding how fast to drive, where to go, and deciding these things all without you. It is turning you into a backseat driver, a permanent backseat driver. You tell people, don't be a backseat driver. I'm driving the car. I don't want to hear a word from you unless we're about to die. That's annoying. But now you're all backseat drivers. You're all yelling at Google, and Google is like, no, I got it. There's a camera that sees in 360 degrees on top of this car. There's a camera in the front. It looks like a little bubble, actually. It looks like a smart car, but more round is the only way to describe that. And Google's not even the only one working on the self-driving car. Honda just got clearance from the state of California to test their self-driving cars on the roads. Up to this point, they were just testing it in their test facility, and they've had a lot of success. They're very excited about where it's going, and the state of California said these things are safe enough that you can put them on the road and give them a test in everyday traffic with real human beings driving. And I've only been to California twice, so I will not sit here and pretend to know everything about that place. But I will say that the few times that I have had the fortune slash misfortune of going to Los Angeles, the traffic was unreal. It was unreal. And that, to me, is actually where I'm curious about. How does a self-driving car handle LA traffic, where everybody is driving more or less for themselves and hectically and slowly because there's a million people there? I don't know. But all I know is here's a car that is driving for you, which is something that I'm sure my brother will appreciate, as my brother is possibly one of the laziest people with concerns to driving that I have ever met. My brother will not drive anywhere if you can drive him. My brother doesn't even mind that you're using gas that is his. He'll let you drive his car. He just doesn't want to be the guy to drive. So I can't imagine that he would be mad at the idea of a self-driving car. There are things that we do in life that human beings have done for years. We've just assumed that people will always do this. And now we are adding distance between responsibilities that we have always held, whether or not those things are necessary for humans to do. Because, I mean, you start to talk about plane crashes and terrorist attacks and all of those things, and you look at cars are more dangerous than all of those. Cars cause more death than all of those things. You are more likely to die driving than flying. And still, I hate flying more than I dislike driving. There's something about our humanity that wants us to be in control of that, and we might have to let that go. But there's also some refreshing idea that you're busy and you're late for work and you're trying to get from point A to point B very quickly, but also you have a ton of paperwork to do. Maybe you missed some homework and you've been lazy about it, and the car is driving you and you're just writing. You're just doing something else. It gives us this ability to multitask. More multitasking. That's really what it is for us. And that brings me to my last point about the distance that technology creates. We want to use technology to connect us. We used to have to connect ourselves. That you used to have to go out and talk to people to connect with them. That if I wanted to talk to other Redskins fans, I would have to go to Buffalo Wild Wings or something, find a place where other people are watching that game, and then physically talk to them. And I find the very concept of that in my mind as an introvert exhausting. I don't want to do any of those things. And technology has already made my life easier in that regard. I don't have to go anywhere. I can stream the game on my computer, and Facebook, for instance, has a scoreboard hub. It's the NFL Trending Scoreboard Hub. What they do is they have the score of the game, and they have a chat room, basically. Not a virtual reality chat room. Not as cool. They could, since they have virtual reality. I mean, it's not far away, really. But they have one that you can go and you can do the one thing that football fans and sports fans like more than anything on earth, which is trash talking. That if I get to talk to a Philadelphia Eagles fan, I will tell them that I am glad that they lost last night, and many other things that are probably not very nice. But you have it all in one place. That the connectivity is not even a responsibility that you have to take on for yourself anymore. The concept of the second screen, which is literally your phone, your tablet. Your first screen is considered it's considered your computer, though if you are watching the game or you're watching something on TV, your first screen could be your TV, second screen your computer, third screen tablet, and now you've got the Pebble watches and you've got the Apple watches. So I mean, you could literally be consuming media on as many as 4 screens simultaneously. And it's one thing to multitask. It's a complete other thing to consume media on 4 screens simultaneously, but all concerned and all related to the same media. You could watch the game on TV or stream the game on your computer while you tweet and Facebook about it on your phone and get statistical updates concerning your fantasy football team on your watch. That is an actual thing that people can do now. It's overly expensive, and I don't know anybody that actually does it, but you could do it. We've put distance between ourselves and all of these things that we used to do. We are actually going to have, at some point in our lifetimes, a generation of people that won't remember a time when you drove a car. Blowing my mind. That won't remember a time when you looked at video games on one screen. That won't remember a time where, and I am making myself feel extremely old. And I'm 25. I shouldn't feel old, but I feel old. It won't remember a time before smartphones. And all of these things have consequences, whether we want to admit it or not. And not all of these consequences will be immediately discerned. We won't be able to find out which is which until probably many years later, like we found out about TV and what it does to the brains of young children over time. That's something we're going to end up finding out later in life. This is AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. This has been The Digital Drive with Russell. I'm Keon Rose, filling in for Russell. And there'll be more of me talking sports on Clutch here on AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
Fox News Talk 1240.
Expect lots of sunshine and great looking weather out there through the afternoon. A little warmer, highs of around 80. Tonight, clear, cool again, lows mid-50s. For the midweek, not much change, still looking good, but lots of sunshine, dry for a while with warm afternoons and highs into the